Greetings and salutations. Thank you for clicking on this video. We're going to take a look at Ubuntu GNOME 16.04 LTS. I posted a video about this yesterday called Goofing with Ubuntu GNOME 16.04, and that one I was playing around with it in a virtual machine. This time around I got it installed on hardware and it is running really well. It is very stable, although there are a few little things that kind of make me go, We'll talk about that as we roll along. Here's what the Ubuntu GNOME website looks like. It's very simple, very minimalist. You can take a look at this. I will put a link in the description, ubuntugnome.org. And to download your very own copy of Ubuntu GNOME, you can just come to the download page and it will take you over here and you will see all kinds of links that you can get your copy of Ubuntu GNOME. It installs just exactly like every other spin of Ubuntu, and the installation process was pretty much flawless. I didn't run into any trouble at all. And the installation process is fast. I mean, this thing installed in less than 5 minutes from beginning to end. So that's pretty amazing. So we can take a look at the desktop. Yes, I have customized this quite a bit, and because this is a production machine, I'm actually going to be using this for a while. To do this, I just took the hard drives that were in this machine out and put another hard drive in and then started from scratch. And the reason why I did that was, in case I didn't like it, to go back, all I have to do is swap the hard drives back in. But I think I'm actually going to let it run for a while because Cindy likes it. She likes this better than anything that I've sat her down in front of. She went, oh, I like that a lot. So we may stick with it, and she uses this machine these days more than I do. So let's talk a little bit about how the desktop works. It's very simple. I have not installed a bunch of extensions. It's pretty much how it comes. There's a few things that I have changed. So we have a hot corner here that if we take the mouse and put it up there, it brings us to the activities menu, or you can click on activities here, and then here's where you find the applications. And it lists either all the applications or you can toggle it over to the ones that you use all the time. So you can see that I have installed a bunch of applications compared to what you get. Ubuntu GNOME gives you a really basic set of apps. Of course, you get all the regular GNOME tools that you're used to. And they use Evolution for their email, and then Firefox is the default web browser. I don't like Evolution for email, but I'm leaving it in here because it is tied to the functionality here in the calendar that's connected to the clock. You can also map this clock to work with Google Calendar if that's something that you need. I'm not big on online calendars or using calendars anyway. I'm one of those write it on a piece of paper kind of people and stick it on their refrigerator. Don't keep up with calendars. I used to do that when I was working in radio years ago, and I've just seems to have lost all of my organization skills. But anyway, here are the apps, and like I said, really straightforward. We're going to get into the software application, the new one from Ubuntu, in just a minute. But first I want to show you the things that I did to get my desktop the way I wanted it. First of all, if you look at the settings for the GNOME desktop, very Spartan. There's really not much that you can change here. You can change your background. Okay, so if I click on this, then you see that the fans spin up trying to render all the pictures on the computer. That is one thing that I have noticed. The computer does work a little bit harder doing certain things. Some things it's fine. Other things I've noticed that it is working harder than like with Ubuntu Mate or some of the lighter weight distros I've run in the past. So here's where you would choose your wallpaper, and they have two choices here. One is for your wallpaper that you see all the time, and one is for your lock screen. So if you lock the screen, this is what you're going to see. And beyond that, there's really not a whole lot more to choose from here. You can show what you search when you go to the activities menu. So that's nice. And you'll notice that we do not have the brightness and lock control anymore here. Everything is handled under power. And I'm going to attempt to zoom this. I did get the zoom installed, but it's a little bit wonky, so let's try it. And it's a lot smoother than it was in the yesterday in the virtual machine. I turned zoom on and the desktop almost quit working. So this is what you get here. You can choose anything from 1 minute to 15 minutes, and then it goes to never. And there is no place here where you can say, okay, I want the desktop, I want the screen to go off, and I don't want it to lock. So if you activate that at all, then when the screen does go blank after whatever time you set, up to 15 minutes, if you tap the spacebar or jiggle the mouse or whatever, you come up to a locked screen. As far as suspending the system automatically, and see, now the zoom's doing that weird thing. This is another thing I've found, that if you have it zoomed, you can see that the zoom, there's a box in front of this, so it's kind of strange. I don't know what that is. Did that on the Cinnamon desktop too, if you'll recall, those of you who have been watching my videos. Anyway, you can see here that we can have the machine go to sleep after a while when it has been idle, and you get more choices here. And even though this is very simplistic, and no, here's once again, you cannot set it to where the machine will not unlock when it comes up from suspend. Although it is very simplistic, it actually works. Okay, when I was running Ubuntu GNOME with the 3.10 desktop, that's the 14.04 LTS version, on this machine, it would not automatically suspend ever. This one actually does it. So while I'm not real happy that they've taken some of the functionality away here, at least it works. So let me zoom back out. It's like the zoom's a little choppy. It's not as smooth as I'm used to, like when I had this activated with Compiz and Ubuntu Mate or even Cinnamon. It's like you zoom or you don't zoom. And you can zoom in really far, and you can make it huge, but there you go. So anyway, so that is that setting there, and here's where you can set your default applications under details. You can also, I think you can change your host name there too. So pretty straightforward stuff there. Just choose whatever application you want to be the one that does that function. Now, to really get some functionality out of the desktop, you have to use the tweak tool. And there's the fan spinning up again. That's probably mainly because I'm screen capturing, gang. This operating system demands a lot from the video, and so does the screen capture. So when they get together, the system has to work pretty hard, and I am capturing in HD here. So this is the tweak tool, and this allows you, first of all, to set the dark theme, which I like better than the white theme. This is so much easier on the eyes. Yes, you can go out and you can download more themes for the GNOME desktop, but I'm not going to bother with that. I like this theme. Here's where you can activate the desktop. You can make the desktop actually do something, so we can create a folder on the desktop. It's not easy to do, but you can put launchers on the desktop. There's no automatic way to do it. You can't just like right click on an icon and go put launcher on desktop, but you could create launchers. I don't really need launchers on the desktop. I just like to have files and folders. I'm used to that sort of workflow, so that's a okay compromise with me. That doesn't bother me that you can't do that. I'm not. Let's see if I can delete this folder, which I don't need. Thank you. Hit the key like 3 times. I don't know what was up with that. Okay, so as we look through here, here's where you can activate different extensions. I mean, this really makes the desktop very useful, and yes, you can download more extensions. So let's see here. We can turn on an applications menu. So now, when I click there, I get a more traditional menu if you wanted to. And I think, yeah, okay, that's how I get to activities. It's just the hot corner or the super key. So yeah, you can have an applications menu if you want it. And so there you go. Those are the extensions. You can play around with that, and you can figure out all kinds of different things that you can do with the desktop. Keyboard and mouse here, you can change some things there. You can also use keyboard under setting to come up with your own keyboard shortcuts for things. Got a few more power settings here, but not a whole lot. Like, I use this to make it so that if you just push the button on the front of the computer, instead of powering down, it will suspend. Startup applications. You can add applications here, and when you log in, you'll get applications. Although this is not all of the startup applications. There are things in here that you don't see, like the system updater and the backup tool and all this stuff. So you can figure out a way to go look at that. So that's basically it. I mean, that is the desktop. And even though it's designed to be very minimalist, it does use a bit of memory. So I have the screen recording software running, and then the terminal with HTOP in it, and this is what you get. I mean, this thing is already used like 1.1 gigabytes of memory just to run the desktop. I'm not quite used to that, to tell you the truth. Now, what I did for this particular test was I had been running this machine with SSDs in it, and I took a 320 gigabyte 3.5 inch desktop hard drive, it's a Seagate hard drive, and put it in here along with the Western Digital Caviar 160 gigabyte drive that was already here. So I just pulled the SSDs right out of the system, put this one drive in it, and you can see how I have that set up. And so we have a boot as the first partition on that drive, and then we have a 25 gigabyte partition that is for the system, and then we have a logical partition, and then the first logical partition is the home. So this is kind of old school, but believe it or not, I haven't really noticed like this huge difference in performance coming down from an SSD. This machine was mainly using SSDs except for the swap, which is the first partition on SDB there, and then the storage partition here is SDB2, and that's got some music files and things in there. But anyway, I really did not see this huge loss in performance, which I was surprised about. The video performance has not been that great. I don't know if you guys can see it, but when I take the mouse across the screen, it's not really smooth. It's like it's going, it's kind of, you can see like it has a low frame rate. But that seems to only affect the desktop animations. If I run a video and play video in it or use VLC to watch video, it's extremely smooth. So I'm imagining that the GNOME developers have kind of set this up where it takes away from the animation and it gives to whatever you need. Of course, as far as a video card in this machine, it's an integrated GPU. It's a Radeon 4200, and this has an Athlon processor in it. This machine is 6 years old, so it's pretty amazing that this runs on it anyway. Now, as far as getting software installed on the machine, we have several different options. Actually, the main option that you get when you first install the machine is the new software application here. And I've been hearing that people are having some problems with this, like they're having a hard time getting deb files installed with this application and some other boo-boos and issues going on, which is funny because in beta, like a week or two ago, it was working perfectly, and now that they've come out with the regular release, there's a problem. So hopefully they will fix that very soon. And I showed how this application worked before, but we'll take a look at it once again here in this video for those of you who haven't seen the original video. So if you're looking for an application, let's look for something that, I need to make sure Skype is installed. I don't know what I just typed, but it certainly didn't bring up Skype. And you see it is not in the repositories. Oh my goodness. it had been in the repositories, but it's not now. It's not coming up at all. So let's go look at our software sources. See what the deal is there. Because Skype was in the Ubuntu repositories, now wasn't it? All right. I need to go to Applications. And I'm just going to type in soft. And I want to look at software and updates. And this is where you can connect other software. Well, Canonical Partners is certainly checked. So if it was in that repository, we would be getting it. But it is not here. You can just double check here. Nope, not there. So I have run into a couple of applications in that application that aren't there. So let's look in Synaptic. We'll open up Synaptic Package Manager. Let that get itself loaded up. Yeah. Let's go to Search. And we'll put Skype in here. There it is. We could install it from here if we wanted to, but not from the software application. So obviously there is still a little bit of work that needs to be done there. Now I'm not going to install it from there because I'm going to show you what I did to get most of the software installed that I needed on the system. I installed the Ubuntu Mate welcome screen. And I put it on here so I could find that. So I'm going to type soft again because then it will show me the lovely Software Boutique, which is an Ubuntu Mate application. But it works here. So I can use this to go to Internet. And we'll just scroll down till we get to Skype. And we can look at what source this is coming from. Well, we're going to get it directly from Skype.com, so it's the latest version. So I'm now going to install. We're not even getting the one out of the repositories. That's the beautiful thing about the Ubuntu Mate welcome system and the Software Boutique. It is dynamic and it changes. So let me put that in there. Man, them fans are screaming when I'm screen capturing. May have to throttle back on the screen capturing software a little bit to compensate for this, if I'm actually going to be doing videos with this desktop on the machine. But if you're not screen capturing, gang, it runs great. I mean, that just seems to be an issue that I'm not used to with lighter weight desktops. So we are now downloading all of the components necessary to install Skype, and I can look at other things while that is doing that, and then I will have Skype installed when I get through with that. So that's how I did it, is a combination of those three things, or from the terminal. But the software application itself, the GNOME software application that Ubuntu has adopted to be its central software hub that you're going to do everything that you're going to do on your computer, definitely has some work that needs to be done to it. So I would suggest installing Synaptic Package Manager, or do like I did and install the Ubuntu Mate welcome here. And I did that in the beginning of that video yesterday. So you can go back and look at that one, and that shows how you install it. So let me go ahead, and I think I've pretty much covered everything that I need to cover in this video. I like GNOME. I've liked GNOME 3 for a long time. This is a much better version of GNOME than you're going to get from 14.04, so if you're running it, definitely upgrade. This is GNOME 3.18 with all the latest tools. I think that 14.04 was on like GNOME 3.10. This is an older version of GNOME compared to what's out there for more cutting-edge distros like Arch and Fedora and OpenSUSE. But there is an upside to that. If you're not really necessary all freaked out about having the absolute latest version of everything, what you're going to get here is a very stable version, and the desktop is very stable. It has not hung up on me, not once. I have not had any major problems, and Cindy loves it. So, hey, if we make her happy, then all right, because she actually uses this machine more than I do these days. I'm using the laptop or the old junky machine, and I swap things out back here, do a little distro hop and change, and most of the time she really doesn't have a lot to say about it. But when I put GNOME back on the system, and I haven't run it here in a long, long time, she's like, oh, yeah, I like this one. Let's leave it like this for a while. So that is how it is going to be. So if you like the GNOME 3 workflow, if you want to play around with the extensions, you want to do that sort of thing, yeah, absolutely, this is for you. It is a minimal install, so therefore you're going to have to do some tweaking and playing with it to get it to do what you want it to do. But this is very solid, very stable. So, yeah, and the other thing is make sure that you have the hardware to do this. Because it really requires that I'm probably video-wise running this desktop on the very low end that it can handle, which is integrated graphics with a half a gig of memory. I think that if you had a lesser graphics card in the system, that it would really not be working very well. So on my other two machines, yeah, Ubuntu Mate all the way. Back here, just for sentimental reasons, because I'm a big fan of the entire GNOME project, we're going to be running Ubuntu GNOME. And my Skype is installed. It's telling me that my Skype is installed. So, yeah, if you want to check it out, discover it for yourself. Awesome. And I do absolutely tell you straight up that if you want to make your installation process so much easier, take the time to install the package Ubuntu Mate Welcome. To run the entire welcome screen, you're going to have to do it from a terminal like I'm doing right now. But the software boutique ends up in your menu, and that's really the reason why you would want to have this. But you can use this to help set up the system. And yesterday I showed you guys a bug in the firmware here. So if I go to drivers, if you will recall yesterday when I clicked on this, that I got an error. Today, I'm not going to get that error. They have fixed that problem. So this actually works now. Of course, it's not going to do anything. How about putting the right password in? Makes a big difference. It's already installed, so it's not going to do it, but you're not going to get an error either. So that is working the way it should. So stealing a little bit from Ubuntu Mate and then installing a minimalist Ubuntu GNOME distribution of 16.04 has turned out to be a really, really cool way to do things. So thank you for watching this video. Be sure and check out freedompenguin.com. Be sure and check out Easy Linux on the web if you want me to help you get Linux installed on your system. And check out Easy Linux on Facebook. And when you do, give it a like if you would. By the way, new article coming up very soon, next day or two on Freedom Penguin from me. Should be awesome. Thanks for watching once again. See you later.